All right. I think we're live. I think we are live. Let's do it. What up, everybody? It's another collab. Welcome to the collab. Got to turn it. Hold on. Got my devices going. My bad. All right. Let's get it. Let's get it. All right, what is up? What is up, everybody? Thank you guys for being here. Make sure you guys hit that like button, hit that share button, hit that subscribe button. Brother B Miles, I really appreciate you allowing me to do another collab with you, brother. That's pretty awesome of you, I
Oh
must
yeah,
say.
absolutely. You're welcome, bro.
So today, I'm trying to get the screen share configured. Sorry, y'all. So today, our discussion is going to be a little different than last time. We're going to talk about the immigration situation. So, B Miles, you want to take it away, man? You got the floor, my brother. It's your night to cook.
Oh man, now we already know that we've been talking about this whole entire, I'm a legal immigration situation and stuff like that, though, right? And from what we've been, from what I've been like researching and stuff like that, as far as like this whole entire legal immigration situation right about now, man, there's been a lot of things that's actually been coming out, man, as far as like, what has been going on, as far as like, me and you was talking about that welfare fraud that take place in Minnesota, right? You won't believe it. I'm looking at this article right here. They were saying they are feeding our we are feeding our future fraudsters. They bought mansions and Mercedes with 250 million in stolen meal funds. I'm looking up this right now. Citizen, man, check this out.
Yeah.
They said no case in Minnesota's sprawling fraud scandal captures the scale of taxpayer abuse like the Feeding Our Future scheme, in which the program's director signed off on sham meal services for the poor only to have the men around her splurge on mansions, luxury cars, and lavish lifestyles. They said Fox News Digital has obtained the court exhibitors used at trial, including photos of the properties, vehicles, and designer goods prosecutors say were purchased with stolen federal nutrition dollars. You hear this crap, man? Stolen nutrition dollars. They said the scheme was headed by Amy Bach, the founder and executive director of Feeding Our Future, an organization responsible for ensuring that needy kids didn't go hungry during the COVID pandemic. They said Bach presided over a network that claimed to have served 91 million meals, from which the scammers fraudulently received nearly $250 million in federal funds. They said Bach, who was convicted by a federal jury on March 19th, 2025, of wire fraud, conspiracy, and robbery for her role, was dubbed the scheme's mastermind by federal prosecutors. They said Bach approved the meal sites, some of which were fake, and then certified the claims, signed off on the reimbursements from the Minnesota Department of Education. At least 78 people now have been indicted in the ongoing investigation. You hear this,
Wow.
my brother?
That's crazy. You know what's wild, bro? As Americans, we sit back and wonder how these foreigners able to come over here and do all that. But it's because they
Right.
learn the system and they find the loopholes and they find the ways to get over. Because the way they got their hands on those federal funds, I guarantee you, it was a nonprofit organization that they set up, and their organization's job was to do something charitable. So they started getting all this money and doing whatever they wanted with it because nobody looked into their books and what they were actually doing.
Mm,
you know and I think a lot of this, because you notice there's been a lot of financial crimes being exposed, and
yes.
all this comes months after Doge concluded their investigations that they conducted the first half of this year. So I think a lot of
Mm.
this is coming from Doge. What do you think about that?
I think I strongly believe that's coming from them. That's why when those came along, that's why they were so like really, really like mad about it, because once I seen what those was all about, I was like, okay, so they really about to go and like really like tackle like what I mean, like all of this fraud and stuff. And from what I'm seeing right about now from Doge, yeah, they not playing. I could definitely see Doge, man. They are definitely not playing and stuff like that.
Yeah, and these politicians, they help them with this because when the money starts coming in and they're, and they're skimming off the top, the politicians are getting their cut too.
Mm.
AOC, how about this? AOC just got exposed for, I think she took 50,000 or 500,000, or it could have been 50 million. I'm not sure, but it was a large amount of money of campaign funds and basically used it for her own personal luxuries.
Mm.
And the
Yep. She.
A Black Lives Matter chapter leader for Oklahoma City, she just got indicted for wire fraud and what else was it? It was wire fraud and I think embezzlement because she was stealing the donation money that Black Lives Matter was supposed to be using for the community. So
Wow.
they're all in on it. And you're right, bro. And I'm glad you mentioned it. That's why they got all mad when Doge was starting to do their investigations. That's
That
why.
damn, we just connected the dots that damn quick, bro. That's something. Wow, that is something. Yup, and she is. Yup, she is under investigation as well. AOC.
Yeah.
She, yup, and they were saying this lady right here. Her fault. They were saying she used $250,000 in stolen nutrition funds to buy a large home in Plymouth, while another 2.7 million wire transfer linked to the fraud was routed into a Minneapolis Manchester office building.
Wow.
Prosecutors said that served as the headquarters for his company Safari Group. The property stood in stark contrast to the daycare centers after school programs the federal money was supposed to help.
Yeah. Hey,
Yo,
one thing real quick. Thank you, John and Chakra in the chat. They corrected me on the number. It's $3.5 million. So I appreciate you
good,
guys correcting that number.
good God Almighty.
She stole. That's the point. She stole. You put them in power, you
Gee,
give them money, they gonna steal. And this is what the birthright, this is part of what the birthright citizenship thing is about too, I think, because a lot of these Somalis that are in these positions, they either came over as first generation or they're younger people that were born here from the first generation that came over here. And because they were here under temporary protected status and now they they have children here, their children are now American citizens. So because of this expansive application of birthright citizenship, now we have this problem where there's this entire foreign group of people with a foreign agenda infiltrating cities in our country and stealing taxpayer money, which is ridiculous.
yes, it is. Yup, they said the exhibit also showed that said used fraud proceeds to buy a black 2021 Mercedes-Benz GLA and a 2021 Chevy Silverado. They said operated a Safari restaurant, a small Minneapolis eatery that claimed to be serving more than 4,000 meals per day to the poor, according to federal exhibits, while his company and co-conspirators opened additional sites, as well as dozens of shell companies, which received more than 32 million in federal nutrition program funds, prosecutors say.
Damn.
This is insane.
Yeah. You see, because again, the way the system is set up, it's created by these same politicians who benefit from the fraud. So they're going to create a system where if you go into that type of work and you set up an organization like that for these causes, you now have access to damn near unlimited money and ain't nobody going to say nothing about it because the people who are supposed to be making sure the money goes where it goes, they stealing it too. You know what I'm saying? Like all that they seeing all that money, you'd be a fool to believe that there ain't no politician in the background getting their pockets greased to turn a blind eye to it.
Right. That is insane. They said, according to the indictment, says spending spree stretched far beyond the cars and houses shown in courtroom exhibits, with additional real estate, electronics, cash transfers, restaurant build-outs, and other luxury goods purchased through shell companies he controlled. Other members of the Safari Group were also accused of funneling nutrition dollars into luxury cars and designer goods.
Yep. Yep. And
Look at that.
Queen Queen Azuri in your chat, she says they have messed it up for nonprofit businesses. Yes, because now
Yeah,
everybody with a nonprofit or with hopes of creating a nonprofit are going to have to jump through extra hoops now. They're going to have to go through a stricter vetting process and stricter monitoring while they operate. And a lot of other folks now who've been, not really operating their 501c3s or whatever type of nonprofit organization it is on the up and up, they're now going to come under the gun because of what these guys are doing.
facts.
Did you come across? My bad. Go ahead.
No. Go ahead. Be good.
I was going to ask you a question. Did you hear about the that fraud money that they've been stealing from taxpayers through the SNAP program or whatever, through the food program? Did you hear that some of that stolen money was actually being funneled back to Somalia to fund the terrorist organization Al-Shabaab?
Yes, I was ticked off when I heard that shit.
So you know what that means, bro? That means that these people that are being federally indicted for these charges can actually be renditioned by the military and put into military jail and put on a military tribunal where they can actually be executed, if not permanently expelled from the country or imprisoned at a different black site anywhere in the world, like that place in El Salvador, for example, because not only are they undermining the integrity of the United States government by committing the fraud through a government approved organization, but they're also using that same money that they're stealing from us to essentially fund our enemies. So, shit's going to get worse for them, bro. And this is why Trump is now able to make the order to get them all out of here. And there ain't nothing nobody can say, because this is now a military action that's going on.
Yep, absolutely. Yep, because they were saying that the Treasury, I'm looking at an article right here. They are saying that the Treasury is investigating whether Minnesota welfare money went to Somali group, terror group, Al Shabaab. Yep, they were saying the Trump administration looking into Minnesota tax money found its way to Al Shabaab, a U.S. designated foreign terrorist organization and Al Qaeda affiliate based in Somalia. Treasury Secretary Scott Benson said on Monday, that is insane.
Yeah.
They saying Benson, he said the Treasury is investigating allegations that under the feckless mismanagement of the Biden administration and Governor Tim Walz, hardworking Minnesotans' tax dollars may have been diverted to the terrorist organization Al Shabaab. They were saying the Treasury shared a November 19th report in the conservative publication City Journal that alleged millions of dollars for Minnesota state welfare programs had ultimately landed in the hands of terror group Al Shabaab, cited law enforcement and sources. Several Minnesota Republicans, including Republican Tom Emmer, pushed federal prosecutors to look into the allegations.
You notice who's investigating it? The Treasury.
Mm-hmm.
That's part of NESARA, because normally it would be the FBI investigating something like this, or Homeland Security, because the Treasury is not a judicial. It's not supposed to be a judicial agency, but now it's been given judicial powers. That's why they're able to investigate, and that's why they're doing the investigation, because what that's doing is that's equipping the Treasury now to be able to carry out those functions that other federal agencies would have otherwise carried out. So now the government can function without those other agencies. So let's say Trump wants to eventually abolish the FBI or something. That means the FBI Financial Crimes Unit or whatever. These financial crimes are now being investigated by the U.S. Treasury.
Wow.
So when the FBI starts getting their cuts and they start becoming minimized and their quote unquote non-essential departments get cut, the financial crimes unit gets cut, and boom, the Treasury is running that operation now.
Wow.
But you know, it's just a theory. It's just a theory. So I don't know if that's how it's going to play out, but it seems like most governmental functions as far as law enforcement wise on the federal level is being centralized. So there's all these different units, but they're all they're all being consolidated to work together. So every operation is a joint operation. And I find that to be pretty interesting. So, and Trump was talking about abolishing the IRS and all that. So, you know, there might be more changes to come in the near future. And what he's doing is structuring the government to operate efficiently, continue to operate efficiently and effectively after those changes have been implemented.
Yep, they were saying right here that Minnesota has been racked up allegations of large scale fraud in the state's public assistance programs. They said dozens of people have been charged in a 250 million scheme involving the nonprofit Feeding Our Families and its partners, which federal prosecutors said they stole nutrition aid, yo. During the pandemic, though, they was robbing motherfuckers during the pandemic, yo. They said many of the defendants in these alleged fraud schemes are members of Minnesota's large Somali community. A American former investigator in the Minnesota Attorney General's wrote an opinion piece last year. The former investigator, Kaisei Magan, added that the community members are also frequently victims of the schemes. They said Trump repeatedly lashed out against Somali immigrants in Minnesota, claiming in the Post that the state has become a hub of fraudulent money laundering activity and announcing an end to temporary deportation protections for Somali people to the Midwestern state. They said last week the president, they saying without evidence that hundreds of thousands of Somalians are ripping off our country and ripping apart, the once great state. They said Walls and other Minnesota Democrats have defended this shit, the state Somali community, yo.
Yeah, that's the other thing too. Like, how do they defend this shit? Like, but when you really start to consider the fact that they profit and they're benefiting from this, then it all makes sense why you'd have a sitting governor in a U.S. in a United in a major U.S. State that is allowing a foreign population to defraud his own people. That's crazy. Just even saying it.
Right, that's insane, yo. That is insane, yo. They saying the money, this is going all the way back, yo, during the pandemic, yo. They say claims that state money could be flowing to Al Shabaab and other terrorist groups that circulated in years in Minnesota. A 2019 report by the state's office of the legislative auditor said it was unable to substantiate allegations that child care assistance program funding is going to terrorist groups through the organization didn't rule it out, saying it's possible that state funds may have been sent overseas and eventually found its way to terrorists, yo.
Wow. Hey, can you look up what year those Somalis were brought over here and given temporary protected status?
Ben, I'm gonna look this up right now. This is insane.
Yeah.
Now the damn Somalis talking about they black now. No, your ass is Arab.
Yeah, I heard. I think it was either Elon Omar, or one of them Democrats, was on the news talking about this is a black issue. Like, no, it's not. No, it's not.
Right.
And I love the fact that black people are starting to wake up to this and as much as I disagree with the label FBA, I listened to a stream yesterday, and what the brother was saying made a lot of sense. And I was like, and I listened to him very closely, and he was talking about how that is linked, that label or that identity is linked to their lineage, which is connected to America. It's a part of America. So it's causing what I'm seeing with the FBA thing is it's causing more black Americans who once hated America. They'll call you a coon for flying the American flag. Yep. Now they're actually starting to embrace their Americanism a little more. And now they're seeing this alien invasion from these illegal aliens. That's what the alien invasion is, if you haven't caught on yet. They're starting to see it for what it is now.
Yeah.
And they're differentiating themselves from these foreigners because if we go with the whole we're all black or we're all people of color, then
Yep.
you know we're with you, we're on your side. But if we say no, we're Americans and you're not, you know, there ain't no we're with you, there's no alliance. There's the line is drawn and it's a nationalist line. And not only will that galvanize more support for the removal of these illegal aliens, but it's also going to kind of build some bridges between black Americans and white Americans. Because since the years of Obama, that racial division, that racial thing started to become a thing again. When if you go back to the 90s and the 80s, you know, in movies, they was like all types of racist jokes and everybody just thought it was funny. Nobody got offended.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's where America is headed back to now. And what the catalyst that's created that positive shift is all these illegals coming in. Like America as a whole on every side of the spectrum is waking up, because even liberals are like, nah, I can't really like get them out of here. You know what I'm saying? Like they're like, I don't like Trump. I don't fuck with Trump. I think he was on Epstein's island, but yeah, deport them illegals. You know what I'm saying? So people are starting, just because they're embracing their Americanness a little more, you know, they're starting to see things a lot clearer. Because for a long time, you know, these same people were told America's racist and America's history is based on slavery. And you know what I'm saying? Like everything horrible about America, and getting them to ignore everything positive about America. You know what I'm saying? Because that's every country's story. They got bad things that happen in their history, and they have great things that they achieve throughout their history. That's every group, you know? And you know, I'm not really a fan of the FBA thing, but I say this: if that's what gets you to see the beauty of being American and connect you to your Americanness, then hey, have at it. Because I'm not gonna sit here and tell you what to call yourself.
Right.
But this illegal immigrant shit is really waking people up, man. And I'm starting to understand now, like during the Biden years, this is why Trump let the border get open after they stole the election, because he could have shut it all down and retook the White House and shit. But all of this had to happen because with everything else that happened, black folks was not waking up, bro. And now they're waking up. And I love it. I love it.
Yeah, man, you ain't never lying though, man, because I remember that time frame. I was actually talking to like this white guy. He said, look, man, he said, illegal immigration is really affecting your community, man. He said, you need to look into that. And the minute I did, and I looked into it, I said, you know what? Yeah, I said, I will not support that illegal immigration bullshit at all. Because, and especially when I was at my last job, when I was working down at Amazon, the minute I saw how a lot of these damn illegals were lazy as hell, I said, oh hell no, I'm definitely going to put foot to ass on illegal immigration. No, I want these people out of here. I want the Thanos effect to reach these people. I don't want these illegals over here at all.
Yeah, they shouldn't have been here in the first place. These laws exist for a reason, because there's a legal process to go through. It costs money and it takes time. And the people who take the time and pay the money to do that, that's a demonstration of, I intend on coming to your country and being productive. So that filters out the people who just want to come over here for the free ride. But when they opened up the border by saying the wall is racist and Trump is racist for wanting to keep these people out, then they let them all in. Now look, now they see that this was a bad idea, and that racism shit isn't exactly what they tell us it is, because they told us not letting these people in the country was racist, but now my life is shitty. My neighborhood is lost.
Yeah.
You know, so was it really racist, or were you just lying to me? So that racist shit ain't working no more. Like, people ain't trying to hear that shit no more.
Nah, hell no. It's and like I said though, citizen, man, it was like when I saw that, man, on the job, in the way how they was giving the red carpet to these illegals. I'm like, oh hell no, hell to the no. I said, I'm not playing with these motherfuckers anymore, yo. Because you know the Democrats always say, oh, they work really hard, they escaping persecution. I beg to differ. A lot of them illegals are lazy as shit. A lot of them are lazy as hell. How do I know, my brother? When I was working on a job around them, did I ever tell you the story, my brother?
I've heard you talk about it on your show, but I've heard you tell several stories about the job on the show, so maybe this is another one. Let's hear it.
All right, okay, check it out. I'm gonna sum it up though right now. When I was on the job working down Amazon for the company called ABM, right? And I worked for the company before, so I wound up going down there. And what I noticed was the company, it was predominantly Hispanic, and it was only a couple of Americans. So when I got there, it was only two white and two black, yo. Mind you, when I was on the job, so they said, man, they literally had all the Americans working separately, and they had all of them damn Latinos working together. So I'm looking around like, yo, hold up a minute, yo. And they up there, I'm talking about my Bluetooth got stolen, my hoodie got stolen, my snapback got stolen, my damn food got stolen. And I'm up there telling the lady, I'm like, yo, somebody stole my hoodie. She walked off like, I'm like, do you know? She's like, I don't know. So I'm looking like something is going on here. My stuff keep getting stolen. Who's taking my stuff? And she acting like she don't even know. So I was like, you know what? If that's how you want to play, I'm gonna show you the American way. Because they was down there standing around all up in the bathrooms. They was BSing. They would be all up on the phone, all in the bathrooms. They would be standing up there, literally watching me work, and she up there coming by, taking pictures of me on the Amazon floor. I'm like, what are you doing? She like, you're not working. I'm like, first of all, I'm down on my phone looking at something. How are you going to sit there and tell me that I'm not working? When at the same time, they told me down Amazon, if you want to look something in your phone, you can pull to the side and look down. So if I'm looking at something, you don't take no pictures of me. She like, well, if they're not working, take a picture, send it to me. Look, I'm not the damn feds. I'm here to do a damn job, and that's it. So that's when I wound up calling corporate, and I told them, I said, they down here stealing time, they down here stealing money, and they stole my stuff. And I said that is discrimination, because they up here having meetings in Spanish separately.
Yeah,
If we are damn team, how the hell you on American soil having the goddamn meeting, the team meeting, first in Spanish, then the second in English? I felt disrespected. I said, hell no. I told them what was going on. Citizen, man, they lost an investigation. Why, as soon as after that happened, I went out on injury. When I came back, they was all gone.
Yeah.
And they lost the goddamn contract.
Yeah, because if they're not operating in the best interest of the client's gonna fire them. You know what I'm saying? And if you're paying employees and this is what they're doing, well, you know, all it takes is for somebody to say something. And I'm glad that you did stand up and say something, bro, because most people would have just, put their heads down and quit or took it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Right.
So that was real commendable what you did. That is the American way. Because you ain't fight nobody, you ain't get ignorant with nobody. You know what I'm saying? You went and handled that shit like a professional. And you saw results. So that's a testament to, to getting out of that mentality of, every fight is physical. Every fight ain't physical. The most important fights are mental, intellectual. Because when you call corporate, you had to know what to say.
Mm-hmm.
You had to know who to say it to. And you had to know who to say it about.
Facts.
And you got that result. You know what I'm saying? Because you did the work. Now,
yes, sir.
Now the illegals of yesteryear are not the illegals of today. Because the illegals of yesteryear, that was when immigration laws were actually being enforced. So the ones that would come over here were more humble. They actually went to work. They caused less of a problem because they were legitimately here to work and make a legitimate living and send money back home to their families or eventually bring their families up here. That's what they were here for. And they weren't all bold about it. And they hid in the shadows, and it was not that many of them. And you know what? It wasn't so bad. You know what I'm saying? Like they stayed out of the way. But these people that were let in when they opened up the borders, this is a whole different group of people. These people are entitled. These people have been told all types of promises that the streets are paved of gold and out of gold in America, and you could just come to America and take what you want.
You ain't lying.
And they're here with that mentality, but they don't have the work ethic. You know what I'm saying? Because these people that came over here in the past that worked hard, they worked hard in their home countries, but they just left their home countries because they weren't making enough as hard as they were working. So they figured if I go work that hard in America, I can make more.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? But the people that came over when the border was open, this new wave, they were not hard workers in their country.
No, they were not.
They were looking for a free ride there, and they couldn't find it there, and they were told it's here. So this is why we're dealing with what we're dealing with now. They getting on TV talking about, yeah, I'm undocumented, and having rallies and all that shit. You know, ICE is going after all the motherfuckers, right? They going after all. We're just not hearing about all of them, but they're all on the list.
Oh yeah, ICE, baby. Yeah, put their ass on ice. Yep, because I remember the time frame when I was working down there, Citizen, man. Let me tell you, when I came back, Amazon was damn near like a ghost town, and I remember this like yesterday. Right before Trump got in office, it was a lot of Latinos at the Home Depot. I went up there the next day; they were gone. That's how it was when I went back down to Amazon. It was like a whole new company. They got rid of all of the managers, even the manager who was Hispanic. Her ass got fired. She got deported. The other lady, her stupid ass that was up there doing that bullshit, she wound up losing a damn job. And all of the damn Latinos, I'm gonna say the majority of them, if not 85% of them, their asses got fired or they went to the other company. They're like, won't you stay? I'm like, I ain't dealing with this bullshit after dealing with these illegal bitches. I'm sick of them niggas, yo. Fuck them niggas, yo. I don't want to deal with them.
My bad, bro. I didn't mean to cut you off.
You good, Greg?
No, I was gonna say, but you see how you told your story, how they structured themselves within the company, like they had their person at the top who made room for everybody at the bottom.
You know it.
So there's a bit of organization there, and that's why every time you see a bunch of them gathered and working in the same situation or at the same company, you'll notice the structure. Like even with some government agencies like the LAPD, for example, if you look at the demographics from the 80s and the 90s, it was a healthy mix of black, white, and Hispanic. Now they all Mexican. LAPD looks like a whole cartel.
Pretty much.
Because they've infiltrated the entire system.
Yes, they have.
From top to the bottom. And in the areas in the Somalis, they came here and they followed the same model.
The same model.
Yep. And because they were given legal status, which was asylum in this country, under that temporary protected status, Trump can't just deport them without first revoking that temporary protected status. So once that temporary protected status is revoked, they no longer have any legal status in the United States. Now they either have to self-deport or ICE is going to come get them and deport them.
Yep. One way or another. Yeah, man, that's exactly what happened when I saw that. I mean, and there was a lot of them down there on H-1B visas. So when I came back down there, all those people that was H-1B visas and the one from Amazon and the ones that was over there that was illegal, they was gone. The managers gone. The whole company was gone, and they lost the contract.
Yep.
Lost the contract. I said, I said, yeah, they caught up with your silly ass. Because even over here, we had ICE over here and around in the same area. Because over there in like East Baltimore, for real, like Hollandtown, it is nothing but Latinos over there. They got it like locked up and sewn up over there, literally. and they already trying to make their way over to like West Baltimore and other places. But like I said, ICE has been over there, so we do got ICE over here in the state of Maryland. They just quiet about it, but they over here.
Yeah, they all over, bro. They're all over, and they have specific target lists of certain people that they already know have their names attached to addresses, documents, and whatever, whatever. So they know who they're going after, and they don't have to make a big scene about it. And we're not going to hear much about it because that's the part of the war that Trump's actually winning. And the last thing the fake news is going to show you is Trump winning.
Facts. Yep. They're not going to advertise that. Nope, not at all.
Because as the Democrats get on TV and pretend as if the American people are somehow against this, when you go to those neighborhoods where those people are being removed from, all those people seem to be in favor of it.
Goddamn right. Yes, they are. Yes, they are. Yes, they are. They Yep, they already up in Minnesota right now. Yep. They already up there in Minnesota going after them. Yep. They're not playing, but they crackdown. You would add on to that, Citizen Man?
Nah, you got it, bro.
Oh, wow.
Did you look up? Oh, did you look up the year that the Somalis were granted the TPS?
Matter of fact, it was around between 91 and 93, around that time when they had that Somalian war. They had a war over there in Somalia, and they gave them refuge like around between 91 and 93, like around that time.
Damn, it was that long ago?
Yup, that long ago, yup.
And then 30 some odd years later, just long enough for those babies to become full functioning adults, they got themselves fully entrenched, fully embedded, got their fraud system set up, ties to the government, representation in Congress, all in a matter of 35 years.
Yep.
That's wild, bro.
Ain't it wild?
I'll tell you one thing, you got to respect it, though. You got to respect it how they came here with an agenda, and they carried that shit out. Right?
Yeah, they did. Noses. Yes, they did.
I mean, thank God the jig is up now, but there ain't too many other groups of people where have been that well organized. That was like small hat level.
Yeah, facts. Yes, indeed. Yep.
So to a degree, I guess this is why you got to respect your enemies, because they're capable.
Oh yeah.
There was one story about this Somali that became a cop, I think in Minneapolis, and some woman called 911. His dumbass and another cop shows up and shoot and kill the woman for no damn reason, because she had a dog, and Muslims hate dogs. But this guy's a cop in your city.
You gotta be kidding me.
Yeah, it's a real story, bro. It's a real story. Real spill.
And you go ahead.
No, go ahead. I was gonna say, let me see if I can look it up and find the details for you, so I don't mislead you.
Oh my gosh. And yeah, because I remember that time frame during the pandemic. They was coming through, man, like a lot of nationals, man, from like Chinese nationals. They were military men. They was like cartel. Oh yeah, have you heard about what's going on the sea for real? With the immigration thing. You heard about that?
On the sea, you said?
Yeah, it's like they found somebody like I'm trying to think of the word. Oh yeah, they doing boat strikes.
Yeah, I heard about that. I've been talking about that.
Man, they not playing. Yup. They are not playing with that, man. I'm like, wow.
Oh, speaking of boats, how about this one? I don't know if this is true or not, but I heard that the Somalis We're out on the Great Lakes playing pirate. I don't know how true that is. I don't know if that was just like somebody being sarcastic and making a meme, or they're really out there. They're really on that shit. I don't know.
Good God Almighty.
But you know
They
what? At this
playing.
point, I wouldn't be surprised if they were.
Mm-hmm. I wouldn't be surprised neither.
But yeah, man, when it comes to the boat strikes, that's the those are the drug operations, and most of the boats that the US military is encountering are stopping. And the people on board, the drugs are being seized, the crews are being arrested and taken into custody and whatnot. And the boats that are being blown up are the ones that just refuse to stop. So
Mm.
that's why there ain't as many blown up boats as you would think they would be if the military was out there deep like that doing what they're doing. But the majority of them are being stopped.
Damn. Mm.
Yeah, and that story about the Somali cop in Minneapolis that killed a woman, that the white woman that called the police for help. Back in October 2021, I think the shooting happened in 2017, and then or 2019, I'm not sure, but then a couple years later, he went to trial, got convicted, and he got sentenced to 57 months. So he got less than 5 years.
You serious?
Yeah.
Uh. Uh.
So it's gotten to the point where not only have they infiltrated positions of power, created their own fraud network to defraud the American people, but apparently they've infiltrated the court system as well.
They sure did. Yep. Yep. Especially, yeah, that damn Ilhan Omar. Yeah, she is really something.
Yeah, I still don't understand why she hasn't been expelled from Congress and prosecuted for marrying her brother.
That's what I'm saying on that incest bullshit.
Yeah, because that's actually immigration fraud. So we have a sitting congresswoman with dual citizenship and a foreign nationality who is guilty of immigration fraud, but she still has the power to pass laws against the American people.
Right.
And that's one of the situations that I wish Trump could move a little faster on, but I understand why things have to be done the way they got to be done.
Yeah.
Everything has to be perfect, no mistakes can be made, because this system that's being destroyed can never be allowed to recreate itself at any point in the future. Like, an example has to be made. And it's gonna get ugly, bro. I think right before the midterms, we're gonna see some shit go down. Either some major
Oh.
arrests or some major terrorist attacks here in the US or something. But something big's gonna go down for the midterm.
Mm. Good God Almighty. Oh yeah, it's definitely going to get interesting on that.
Yeah. And check this out. So everybody was wondering, like, once Trump leaves in 2028, if a Democrat comes in and takes office, all they got to do is reopen the border and all these people are coming right back. And that's true. But get this, Trump as president can still be, even if he serves 2 terms as president, he can still hold the vice president seat. So what people were saying was him and JD Vance were going to switch places, and JD Vance was going to run as the president and he was going to be his VP pick. So that way we'd have Trump another 4 years. I thought that was pretty interesting. But I don't know if that's true, because the vice president is to fill in for the president if the president can't serve in office no more, if he, dies, gets sick, and becomes incapacitated and can't carry out his duties. So the vice president would have to be eligible to be president. So in a situation like that, I'm guessing maybe if Trump already did 2 terms as president, can't be president again, and JD Vance can't serve as president anymore, Trump would have to be passed over as the vice president, and then the Speaker of the House would have to be made the president instead, who, the person that's third in line in the succession. So I don't know, but some big shit's about to go down, man. That I can tell you.
Oh yeah, man. I could definitely see like a lot of shit that's going to go down. And what the midterms again?
The the midterms are in 2026, November next year. So they're starting a campaign now.
Oh boy, it's really going to be interesting next year, and that's in 2026. Oh my gosh! Wow. Oh yeah, citizen man, I got a question, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you heard about them sleeper cells we got in our country, right?
Yes.
Yeah, would you like to expand on that one?
So the illegal aliens also consist of sleeper cells, terror cells. They are a mixture of South and Central American drug cartels. They are some CIA, Mossad government operatives, and others are just regular gang members who are kind of like the bottom of the food chain in the hierarchy. Oh, shout out to Stacy for the Cash App. She says, enjoying the live transmission. Appreciate you, Stacy. Thank you for that support. And part of Trump's mass deportation operation is to go after these sleeper cells. So they have their target list of who they're going after, and whoever they catch, along the way, they go to. And this is why Homeland Security investigations and the FBI have been working with ICE on these raids and going after these gang members and these quote unquote what they call criminal aliens, because a lot of those guys are either members of or tied to these sleeper cells. And the sleeper cells job was to basically activate and kill mass numbers of Americans if, let's say, Trump decided to openly stop cooperating with Israel, or Trump started to arrest these Democrat politicians that have been caught committing mass amounts of fraud. Something of that sort. So the way to clear the way for him to be able to carry out the future operations against the deep state, their enforcement arm basically has to be chopped off, which is the sleeper cells that came over when the borders were open. This is why we were seeing mass numbers of military age males crossing the border back when the migrant caravans were coming. I'm sure you guys remember that. Well,
Oh
those
yeah.
military age males are the sleeper cell members whose job it
Hmm.
was to make lives for themselves here in the United States so they can take up strategic and tactical positions in certain cities and certain areas that are densely populated, collect,
Hmm.
amass weapons and explosives throughout the time that they're here. And when the order is given to go out and use those weapons and explosives, well, they would. And I believe the attack on the National Guard, the mass shootings that we've seen happen at Brown University. I'm sure you guys heard of that. That just happened recently. I think either yesterday or today. And there was a mass shooting in Australia. If in fact these are real events, then that could be evidence of these sleeper cells being activated.
That's deep. Because remember the time frame when they started to come over, they was showing these people they was coming off of boats in Cali. They was like bringing these people over there in Cali, coming off of the boats, yo. I said these men are military age men because I remember the time frame they was coming through the border. A lot of
Yeah.
the Chinese men, they were foreign nationals, military age. A lot of
Yep.
those Latinos were military age. Even Russians, they were military age. Because I remember that time frame. I said a lot of those are military age men. I said, yo, those are sleeper cells. I said they are infiltrating the country with sleeper cells because you know what I mean, because the whole entire thing, you know what I mean, was like financed, you know what I mean, through the Catholic Church. So you know what I mean, and guess who the Catholic Church is connected to? They are connected with to like the mafia, which is
Yep.
you know what I mean. All of that is connected in the mafia, connected with the cartels and the drugs.
Yep.
So all of that is connected. So they bringing in. foreign nationals, military age men, and they bringing these all different kinds of people up in here. So the minute I saw that, I said, "Yo, we really got to prepare," because I'm like, everybody that's on these jobs, they not who they say they are.
Right, right. And you know, in the black ops world, there's a word for that. It's called their cover op, like their cover
Yeah.
operation, which is pretend to be this poor illegal alien that came here looking for a job and is now a humble guy working the job when his real job is to kill your ass when the order is given.
Yep. Yep. Say that
And
again,
what
citizen.
his real job is to kill your ass when the order is given, to delete you. And what scares me, right, about cities like, especially like Los Angeles, LA was a sanctuary city and they were bringing in all these illegals. And, you know, at this point in time, there's no telling with the demographic makeup of the LAPD alone. There's no telling how many of those guys are legal or illegal, who belongs to gangs, who doesn't.
Mhm.
And I kind of get, I don't know, it's had an effect on me because now I get nervous when I see like Hispanic police officers with a thick accent because I immediately
Mhm.
start thinking about those Latino gangs whose initiation is to kill a black person. You
Yes.
know, then my
Yes.
first thought would be like, am I lucky contestant number one? And sometimes I feel bad, like, damn, am I being racist against this dude, or am I really, or is this really the world that we live in, where this is a real fear and something that I really have to consider because of the bullshit our government has been doing?
Right. Right. Yes.
And it's
Yes.
just
I
not.
can. Like what? No, you good?
I
Good.
was I was gonna say, and it is just not the kind of world I want to live in, and I damn sure don't want my kids to have to live in it.
Yeah, that is crazy. That is that. Yeah, man. It's really something to think about, man. Because it's like when I, it's like when I was around them and I studied them, I said all of these people, these illegals, they not here to work, man. I said a lot of them, they spies, they sleeper cells, they military. I'm like they here on certain orders. These people are infiltrators.
Are you familiar with the group by the name of La Raza?
Oh yes, absolutely.
La Raza was one of the main groups leading the charge for the open borders, and a lot of our Democrat politicians are active members of La Raza. And if you don't know what La Raza means in English, it means the race. So
That's correct.
this is literally a Latino supremacist group that has
Yep.
infiltrated our government, infiltrated our society, and are literally fighting against us in our own country for control over us. Now,
Yep.
just imagine that.
Mm.
And that's just one group. That's just the one I know about. And I'm sure there's several others. You know, but
Hmm.
they'll call you a racist for talking about this. Say, oh, you're against Latino people and da, da, da. I'm like, no, no. This just happens to be the group of people that have invaded our country and is trying to usurp the power of our government. That's just what
That's
it
it.
is. That's the part of the world they came from.
Right. That's it.
And that's the part of the world that Trump is targeting now with Operation
So,
Southcom that happening with with the boats and the military at sea and shit. This is why he's doing that. Because the drug smuggling routes are the people smuggling routes. They're the same routes.
yep.
So in going after the drugs, he's also going after the people. And we ain't heard.
Oh yeah.
And since he took office and secured the border, we ain't heard about no migrant caravans since then, have we?
Hell no. Hell no.
But you see, the media, they'll spin it any which way to get you mad at Trump because they need you to be mad at Trump. Because if you spend your time being mad and emotional instead of actually embracing your Americanism and seeing this attack on America for what it is, you're going to start, you know, advocating for the enemies and say Trump need to stop and we need to stop ICE and ICE is bad. And no, ICE is doing you a favor. ICE is cleaning up your neighborhood.
Facts.
And if you're American, ICE is not going after you. And they try to fearmonger the people by saying, well, ICE has detained an American citizen and this and that. You notice how you never hear them say ICE has arrested an American citizen?
Right.
These people get
Detained.
detained. And you know why they get detained? They get detained because when ICE stops people, they'll ask them for their birthday, their name, and their date of birth, just so they can run their information and see that this person is who they say they are. Because the illegals, they're undocumented, so they wouldn't have any documentation in America. So that those two simple questions will allow ICE to determine whether this is somebody that's in the country legally or not.
Facts.
And most American citizens, I understand you're exercising your right because the government does not have the right to just walk up on you and, you know, demand ID. This is not a stop and ID country. You know, that's not how we work, right? They have to have reasonable, articulable suspicion in order to demand your information. But unfortunately, because of this alien invasion, this is why Trump kept referring to it as an invasion. That's military talk. So he was making it more than just a civil or criminal civilian issue. It's now a military issue. And we're actually under a temporary state of military control, because these federal agencies are working with joint task forces that are connected to Special Operations Command through DOD. So what's happening is the domestic agencies are the boots on the ground rounding up the people, and the military are the boots overseas on the water, you know, stopping the dope from getting up here and making the connections between the people here and the people there, dealing with the dope and dealing with the smuggling. But because we're and we're in an active state of war, essentially. And these illegal aliens now are being treated as foreign enemy combatants. So when you have that situation, your constitutional rights don't matter to the forces who are trying to stop this invasion. They have to stop this invasion at all costs because forces within our country allowed this to happen. So now everybody's an enemy. So until you prove yourself, so now everybody's guilty until proven innocent, essentially. The Constitution goes out the window because the military existed in this country before the Constitution did. So the military power actually surpasses your constitutional rights. So when we're under military control, i.e. martial law, but it's a soft version of martial law, this is what you get. And this is what we conservatives were trying to avoid so many years ago when we were saying build the wall, and the media was pushing back and saying, no, walls are racist. But the American citizens that end up getting detained are the ones that try to exercise their constitutional rights, but we're in a state of military control where constitutional rights don't really matter anymore. And because of that, they now get detained until they can be identified. Once they're identified, they're released.
Just like what happened over there in Chicago.
What happened in Chicago? Happened with that apartment building?
Yeah, yep, exactly. Yep, with that apartment building, and you know, a couple of people that was over there, they got detained, and they were trying to say ICE is locking up black people, and somebody was like, no, they were detained. The reason why they got detained, it is because they was over there in the building that had that Venezuela gang, that Trendy Evergrot, if I recall. They was over there running the building.
And it was the people in the building that called ICE in the first place because they were complaining about it.
Exactly. Thank you.
So the news was putting out one narrative as if like the people there were outraged and there's some sort of injustice that ICE committed against the black people there. And then when you actually go look at what the people there were actually saying, they said the total opposite. They're like, we glad they came and got these people out of here.
Yeah.
We've been asking them, we've been calling them for months to come get these people out of here. That's what they said. That's what they were saying.
Yep, they sure did. Yep, they sure did. Yep, they sure did say that. Yep. They was calling them.
Tren Aragua is a Venezuelan prison gang. And when the migrant caravans were coming up here, the Venezuelan government was actually releasing emptying out their prisons and releasing their prisoners to join the caravans to come to the United States. Did you know that? Did you guys know that?
Just like Cuba back in the 80s.
Yep.
Wow.
And that's where Tren de Aragua came from.
Ain't that a bitch? Go on and expand on that. That's crazy.
Yeah, it was a plan to, because remember, these agencies that look for killers and hitters, they actually do a lot of recruiting in the prison system. And even if you look around at YouTube and you look hard enough at certain content creators and certain platforms, they seem very agent. They have a lot of agent qualities, and they always seem to be on the side of the agenda rather than on the side of the people, like pushing the vaccine and all that kind of shit while saying they conscious, wink, wink, right? And then when you look at their personal backgrounds, a lot of them have prison records. And then it all starts to make sense. Like, they recruit these people from the prisons. So if they're doing it here, who's to say they're not doing it over there? So when they're putting hit squads together and they're putting sleeper cells together, they go into the prisons and they tell these guys, hey, we're going to let you out, but you got to go to America and this is going to be your job. And I believe that's how they got here. And that's what they were brought here to do. They were brought here to terrorize the American people, be the enforcement arm for whatever forces is behind facilitating them being here, and use them to force the Americans out of their neighborhoods so more of their people can move in. Back in, I think it was like 2018 or 2019, there was reports out of LA. I don't know if it was actually LA, but it was California, in black neighborhoods where black people were being firebombed out of their apartments by illegal aliens.
Yep, I remember that. Yep, absolutely, I remember that. They was doing it in East LA. Yep.
So it was LA. I thought so.
Yes, it was. You right. It was over there in LA.
So from even back then, these people, enough of these people from amongst the group of illegals, have proven themselves to be a clear and present threat to the American people. So now at this point, anybody that's allowing and facilitating these illegal aliens being in the country illegally, they're now aiding and abetting a foreign enemy combatant as far as the military is concerned. So when the fireworks start to happen and people start getting publicly arrested, because there's been rounds of arrest, but they've been done in secret in the past. And I've got plenty of streams detailing those operations, showing the receipts, the visuals and everything. But when the public arrests start to happen, you know, there's going to be fireworks. And I think that ballroom is going to be the courtroom that Trump's trying to build. Speaking of that ballroom, I did a stream the other night about talking about the old world and how they destroyed the old world and gave us the modern world, you know, the remnants of the Tartarian Empire and all that. And I remember seeing some pictures of the future plans for how Trump's ballroom is going to look when it's done. It's Tartarian architecture.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, that blew my mind.
Matter of fact, I'm looking up the ball. Yep, they already demolished the East Wing. Yep. Yeah, I've been seeing a while about the ballroom.
Yeah, there's an image on Google, and it says $200 million Trump-style ballroom coming to the White House, and there's pictures of what it's gonna look like when it's done. It's got the vaulted ceilings, the huge arch windows, the dome on the top in the middle.
Oh my God, I'm looking at it. He got the pictures of it. Yo.
That's old world architecture right there.
Yes, indeed. Yo. Damn, I can see it. Yup.
You know what? Hold on. I'm gonna see if I can share it. I'm gonna see if I can share it on the show, because I want y'all to see this.
It was over there by Jacqueline. I'm Jacqueline Kennedy Garden.
Trump's ballroom images. Try to find a nice large image of it so you guys can see it. And then I'm going to screen share it. Okay, that's a nice one right there. Okay. All right, here we go. If you guys know anything about old world architecture, what's that look like, B Miles? Can you see it?
Oh yeah, that definitely looks like I'm tall target. That is beautiful.
And it's big enough for public trials to be held too.
Mm.
Yeah, gotta love it, man. Gotta love it.
Oh boy.
And again, this whole illegal alien thing, it all ties back to the treason, the sedition, the fraud, the theft, the violation of constitutional rights, the violation of immigration laws, federal laws. Everybody is all going to be mopped up in one big operation because all of it is connected.
Damn.
And there's so much evidence now, and even the courts have been exposing themselves as being corrupt. You know what I'm saying? So even the
Hmm.
courts are going to be swept through. Republicans just introduced a bill to imprison judges that keep releasing violent offenders.
Yep. Oh yeah, I'm looking at it. Yeah, that's definitely Tartaria infrastructure.
Yeah, it's mind blowing, ain't it?
Yes, indeed. We still got those structures in B more for real. A lot of Tartaria infrastructure. Matter of fact, City Hall is one of them.
Huh. Hey, somebody in the chat, my brother Jason M. Schmidt says the other thing about the East Wing is the emergency White House bunker is underneath the future ballroom. Very interesting. I did not know that, but that adds a whole new element to it.
Um, we got a lot of old world buildings in B more, man.
And I think that's part of the reason why the Americans rebelled against the King of England and fought so hard in 1776. Well, from 1770 to 1776 to establish their own nation, because these royal families were the ones responsible for the systematic destruction of the old world construction that remained after, what I'm saying, after the first reset, or the reset before the latest reset. And then
Mm,
the latest reset happened in the 1800s when the mud floods happened and all that, and then they rebuilt everything in 100 something odd years and made us believe this fake history.
yep. It's
It's
crazy.
crazy, bro. Yeah, it's wild. Like I really love the old world research, man. And you see, they want to put all these other problems on top of problems on us, so we'll be so busy solving those problems that we won't really take the time to really understand who we actually are and the power we actually have. And it's part of keeping us enslaved, is not allowing us the opportunity to truly understand our true power. Because to see something this beautiful and understand that it was built by human hands, like that unlocks a whole nother world of possibilities for yourself in your own mind. Just because you could see the extent to which human capabilities can take a man.
Mm,
So they destroy the beautiful architecture and they give us the bullshit, the glass boxes.
yep.
This is why they turned art into ugly art. It's all to stifle our innovation and our creativity. And then when we start to awaken to our power and our innovation and our creativity, what do? They open up the border and they bring in another third world they bring in a foreign third world population to take our place as the new slave class because they come
Yep.
from such impoverished conditions that they're operating at an even lower consciousness. They're in survival mode, so they'll do anything.
You ain't lying. You ain't lying. Their world and our worlds are totally different. It's like we overhear stuff like that, and they coming from like conditions that we can't even imagine.
Yeah,
And you're right about that, man. They will do any and everything. They're going to take that job paying $10 an hour, 12, 15. We ain't going to go for none of that. And like you said, they're going to operate survival mode. They're going to do anything.
right, right. That's why they're
That's
the
what,
perfect slave class because they're desperate.
yeah.
And to a desperate
That's
man, a
what
bad idea sounds like a good idea.
you ain't lying. Damn, that's a good one. Yup. Cause I gotta tell you, yep. Cause I gotta tell you, man. Like they came over here with the entitlement and just the mentality. Like we taking this over. We blocking y'all out in your own damn country with no fucks given.
Yeah. Yep.
Not at all.
Excuse me.
I mean, just literally like not at all. I'm like, really? Okay. And it was a bunch of sleeper cells where I was on that job. They was in there deep. I said, yeah, they hearing orders. They hear orders and they hear. I was looking like some of these people not who they are, man. I'm looking like there's too many of them.
Yeah.
Then I'm just watching the eyes. I'm looking like, yeah, these people, they here on an agenda and it's not what we think it is.
Right. It never is, man. It never is because they'll always tell us the agenda is something great, something noble, you know what I'm saying? Something that you would want for yourself. And then when you agree to the agenda, it turns out to be the worst decision you ever made in your life. Like take the vaccine, for example. Ain't that the way they sold the vaccine?
Yeah,
It's the greatest thing. It's safe and effective. It'll stop you from catching COVID. And then people started taking it and catching heart attacks. Like I'll take the COVID.
yeah.
Fuck your vaccine, man. How you catch a heart attack? Like, like my 13-year-old caught a heart attack. Like when in life? When in life? And when I hate to get off subject, but when they started giving that shit out and young people started to get in heart attacks, bro, do you know there was I think it was like a medical transport company or something, and they had an advertisement on the side of their bus that said, kids have heart attacks too. Like, when have you heard of kids having heart attacks like on a regular, like being a regular thing? And they try to normalize that shit, bro. You remember seeing that?
Oh yeah.
And it's
Damn.
like, and it's the same trick they're trying to play on us with these illegals. Oh, you're not a racist. You're a real American if you let the illegals come over and give them all your tax money and shit. And then
Right.
they come over, we give them the tax money, and like in the case of the Somalis, giving them the shit ain't enough. Now they got to steal more. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like if
Yeah.
like if you being here getting free handouts wasn't bad enough, now you got to steal from me. Like now you just think I'm a bitch. That must be it.
Right.
Like you must think I'm soft now.
Facts. Yeah. Yeah, yo. That's some real shit. It's like I'm already giving you benefits. Then you want to shit on me? It's like, nah, you gotta go.
Right. And to make matters worse, the politicians that are allowing it, guess what? They proven that we are soft.
Pretty much.
Because they giving them the free handouts, they giving them the benefits, and they're still stealing from the nonprofit money. Like what the
Right, stealing non-profit money, yo, and sending it back to terrorists, yo. You serious?
Oh my God. I forgot about that part. Like it just gets better with these fucking people.
Like seriously, like this shit. Oh my god, like it just boggles my mind, yo. It boggles my mind. I was up there trying to tell that to one of my family members. He's like, "You're a Trumper." No, I'm not a Trumper. I see what's going on. And just imagine if Kamala would have got it.
Man,
Just
it
imagine,
would have been the opposite, bro. They would have really been, they probably really would have been rounding up black people.
literally,
And
bruh.
everybody wearing them federal uniforms would have been them illegals.
Yeah,
That's what would have happened. That's where we
yeah,
would have been.
yo. It would have been so bad, yo, if she would have got up in there and they they was for open borders.
Yes. Yes. All the stupid Democrat shit that has ruined every Democrat city in the nation. That's
Yeah,
what the whole country would have been under at that point, bro.
yeah. And now I gotta tell you, a lot of them illegals, they into that. You know, matter of fact, yep, them illegals are heavy into that trafficking, they into that drug trafficking and also human trafficking. Because I heard about something down at the border. They killed off like quite a few of them for real. They were smuggling all type of people through there. Yep, they got wax for that shit.
Yeah, it's been a lot of violent encounters between US forces and these illegal aliens. Even with the even at the ICE raids, bro, right here in America, in American cities, they be having shootouts and shit.
Yeah.
They just don't tell us about it on the news. But it
Uh-uh.
happens. That's why they run around with all them weapons and long guns and the vests and shit.
Hmm. Yeah.
Because they know what they're up against. These are actually counter-terrorist operations.
That's right.
If you really want to be real, mass
Right.
deportation is a mass counter-terror operation. That's what it is.
Yeah.
And
That's
it's
why they do.
countering. Yeah, go ahead, bro.
Yeah, that's why. I mean, to cut you off. That's why they don't want nobody impeding on the investigations.
And that's
Fuck you
why
doing?
they're
Go ahead.
and I was gonna add to that and say, and that's why they're so hard on people that do impede on the
Mm-hmm.
investigations because they are now acting on behalf of suspected domestic terrorists. So
Mm-hmm.
counterterrorism operations is what it is, and this is why they're not exactly playing by the rules that normal law enforcement would play by because this is not a normal law enforcement situation.
Mm-hmm.
And in too many cities, the normal law enforcement, they're ran by mayors and police chiefs who are on the side of the illegals. So they can't be trusted to do their duty either. And they might be on the, on the naughty list for the roundups. Like that police chief over in Minnesota, he's telling citizens that if ICE, or not even citizens, he's telling residents of Minneapolis that, and this is the police chief, that if ICE shows up to your house, call the police and the city police will intervene. You know how stupid and how dangerous that is? Because
Asinine.
Because what if the city police is some riled up, gung ho, trigger happy motherfucker that's brainwashed and want to go to war with Trump and the feds and shit. So now he sees his opportunity and they pull up to this person's house that called the cops on ICE and a shootout happens and their kid gets hit with a stray bullet. Then what? You just invited a
Yeah.
shootout to your house. How about the other scenario? These cops are now putting themselves in a position where they'll lose their jobs and lose their careers because they'll be arrested and catch federal charges for impeding a federal officer. So, it won't be a friendly encounter and it won't be that the city police won't have a chance, won't have the ability to do anything. And if the city police calls more force, the feds are going to call even more force, and their force stretches all the way up to the military. So this local police chief in Minneapolis that's instructing his people to try to use the local police to impede these federal operations, he's setting people up for, at worst, dangerous, deadly encounters that could take place depending on, the temperament of the people involved, being the feds or the city police, or at the very least setting them up to be, to have their local police arrested and have themselves arrested for impeding an officer, misuse of government resources, shit like that. Because if impeding a federal officer is a crime and you call the local police to come commit this crime, that's a crime on top of a crime. So you want to talk about dangerous misinformation? That is dangerous misinformation that can really have some real harmful consequences.
That's deep. That's deep.
And just to be clear about one thing, there has been instances and incidents where local law enforcement have had shootouts with federal authorities. So it has
Mm-hmm.
happened and it could happen. Again, it all depends on the temperaments of the people involved.
Yep, and that can be real dangerous. That can be really, really dangerous. And that's exactly why, yep, that's exactly why people are staying the hell up out of the way. Like, nah, we ain't going out there putting our lives on the line against a federal investigation. Hell no. And the thing about it is the same people that's complaining about it voted for this shit.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what blew my mind. And they just don't seem to make the connection. Like, wait a minute. These people that we voted for are the ones that passed these policies that are now negatively affecting my life. Let me not vote for those people again. But they do. It's crazy. Oh shit. We just lost B Miles. I think he just dropped off. But till he comes back, I'll say this. That's imagine a scenario, right? Illegal aliens live at this certain address. They heard the police chief say, call the police. The police will save you from the feds. The feds come a knocking. They call the local police from inside. They call the local police from inside the house. The local police show up. The feds say, hey, we got control of this situation. Your services are not needed. And the feds, get the local police to leave. What happens after that is now the feds gain entry to the property, take the illegal aliens into custody. And not only are they now just your standard average run of the mill illegal aliens that'll be deported to their home country, they just actively impeded a federal officer. So now they become classified as criminal aliens. Once you're put on the criminal aliens list, it's not a guarantee that you're going to be deported back to your home country. You might end up at the super prison in El Salvador, or at the military prison in Guantanamo, or the black site over in Sierra Leone. So you talk about this, what this police chief is saying being dangerous. Like, it's dangerous on every level, even if things go well between the feds and the police. These people are still being instructed to do something that's going to literally jeopardize their lives. And when you have people like that in power and in charge of law enforcement, and they are actively and intentionally breaking the laws they're supposed to enforce, you can't trust them anymore. They're now aiding and abetting a foreign enemy and using the color of law to do it. Yo, here. Oh yeah, you back.
Yeah, I'm here.
Well, yeah, I was just sharing some more of my thoughts while you were coming back. But what do you got?
Oh yeah, man. Man, I was just thinking about what you were saying. About like, yeah, like impeding on and investing my fault. Just the thought of like doing something. It's like why would we even sacrifice impeding on a federal investigation, especially when these people literally, yo. blindly accepted that, man. It's like you went against your own best interest and you don't want to take no accountability for it. And you want to ask our community to go out there and stand on the front line for some shit like this? Hell no. Why? It's like, why should we sacrifice our lives for our replacements? Hell no. Mm-mm. Nah. Ain't no way in the world I'm going to stand out there and tell my people to go out there and protest for our replacements. And when these people are infiltrators, hell no.
Yeah, and that's the diabolical part of the whole thing, right? It's like this is a group of people who, especially the black Americans, pose a economic threat at best, right? And somehow the establishment expects black Americans to aid these people, like help push these people up to the top on their backs and remain at the bottom. And the thing that blows my mind about the whole thing is there's black folks out there that actually do believe that.
Yes.
They're okay with the illegals getting all the government money while completely ignoring the fact that that money could have went to reparations.
Thank you.
They,
That's the
they,
point. Go
man.
ahead. You good?
No, go ahead. You got it, bro. You got it, bro. I was about to, I was about to
Man,
repeat myself.
I said the same shit. Like all of that money, your benefits could have went to something else, but you wind up giving all this shit, yo. You know what I mean? It's like all this shit to these people, and like I said, these people voted for this, yo. Like all, right, and it's so crazy. A lot of them foreigners voted for Trump. A lot of the same people that voted for him is being deported by him. That's the thing. Like Latinos being deported left and right. Then they doing the Asians. Now they doing the Indians. You feel me? It's like they going
Yeah.
after all of them. You know what I'm saying? Even them, the map, even right, even the Africans and whatnot. It's like they going after a lot of the same people that voted for him. They mad at the fact, right? They mad at the fact that we're not making no sacrifice. But it's like no, like it's like what part of that fight that we need to be going out there? This is something. This is something big. I mean, come on. You coming
Yeah.
up here? Come on. Oh yeah, go ahead.
Now, I was gonna say when it comes to the Latinos that voted for Trump, right? You got to remember, amongst the Latinos, there's the legal immigrants, the actual immigrants, and then there's the illegal aliens who everybody's been kind of brainwashed into uh misnomering and calling immigrants. They're not, these illegals are not immigrants, they're illegal aliens, right? But in the Latino community, there's the legal immigrants, the people who came here, got their papers, and came legally. And then there's the ones that jumped the border. And in a lot of cases, in their local societies, the people who would have come here legally would have been the people trying to escape the other element that was brought in illegally under Biden. So a lot of those Latinos that actually voted for Trump were legal American citizens that were naturalized, and they come from countries where they know how much of a threat and how much of a danger these entitled motherfuckers are. And
Hmm.
that's why they voted for the deportation, because there's a whole video with a Latino festival happening talking about I would vote for Donald Trump. Like, I
Yep.
swear to God, bro. Like, but because the American people have been kind of confused between illegal alien and immigrant, when they see these Latinos and these immigrants supporting Donald Trump, it confuses them. It's like, but they voted for their own deportation, but no, they're not the ones being targeted for deportation. The people that we don't like and the people that they too don't like, because they're decent people and these other motherfuckers are not. They're criminals. They are
Yep.
the ones that they want to have deported. So we're actually all on the same page.
Yep. Yeah, because I actually seen like a lot of them. It's like, look, man, this is what I voted for, and then right, and then you got a lot of them up there talking about, well, we've been betrayed. I'm looking like, I'm like, come on. I mean, you gotta talk that between you and your people. You can't be coming over here with us and try to demand we fight for you. Fuck no, I'm not fighting for no son of a bitch that's illegal. I'm not doing that. Hell no. Come on. Shit whack.
Right, because if it was the other way around and you were in their country trying to do what they're doing here, they wouldn't fight for you. They would fight against you.
God damn right.
They would be in favor of their government kicking you out of their country.
God damn right. Thank you.
So
And
it's
listen
okay
to
for them. Yeah.
yeah. Oh yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say it's okay for them to do it to us, but we dare not do it to them, or else we're racist and we're bigoted, and you know what I'm saying? Stupid shit.
Right. That's the bullshit that gets on my nerves. So you feel as though you can come over here and freeload, do whatever you want, but at the same time, we can't go to your country and break the damn law and get all those benefits and live good off of the people's money that I'm robbing. Where they do that at? Like, you serious? That's that
Right.
that's
Hey,
insane.
hey,
And the
you got
sad
something
part,
playing in your background?
oh, my fault, my fault.
It actually sounds surprisingly clear. But yeah, bro,
Yep.
go ahead, man. Go ahead, cook. I'm
Like,
sorry, I didn't
yeah.
mean to cut you off.
Now you good, like, yeah, man, like that doesn't make no sense at all. That doesn't make no at all, man. And it just really pisses me off, man.
Yeah, and I see a lot of memes, right, where people say, "Well, why doesn't Trump deport Melania because she's an immigrant?" Right, and the only way that meme would actually work on you is if, again, you don't know the difference between immigrant and illegal alien. The impl-
Mm-hmm.
the implication behind the word immigrant implies that you have gone through the immigration process, which means you're here legally. And illegal alien means you're a foreign national that has entered our country without proper authorization, as every country requires. So there's a huge difference between an illegal alien and an immigrant. But when they blur the lines, they can sell you propaganda like Melania is an immigrant too. Why isn't she being deported? Or immigrant communities are nervous and scared because of ICE raids. But the immigrant communities were on the same page as the American communities. Like, get them the fuck out of
Yep.
here.
Yep.
So you can't let them blind you and blurring the lines between what words actually mean. And it's like it's gotten so bad that every time I hear them refer to the illegals as immigrants, I kind of cringe a little bit inside because I see the deception and I see it working on people because they don't know what that word actually means.
Yeah, they try and play with the words and stuff. Throw us off.
Yeah, I mean words are spells, right?
You
That's
know it.
them. That's them casting the spell.
Yep. They escaping persecution. That's a goddamn lie. That's the propaganda they want to sell on to us like they escaping persecution, man. Hell no. That'd be all lies.
Right.
And it's
It
so
wasn't.
crazy that
Yeah.
go ahead.
No. You go ahead. You go ahead.
And it's so crazy. They send them to all sanctuary cities, like you said, which are democratic cities, and they all got underground tunnels. And
Yeah.
Democrat cities got the most hotels in them. You notice that?
Yeah.
Because they be trafficking, they be doing a lot of trafficking in them hotels.
At the hotels, the sporting events, the theme parks,
Yep.
everywhere they can get away with it, they get away with it. And then you got to remember, with these migrant caravans, they were innocent women and children coming up here looking for a better life, and they weren't escaping persecution per se. They were just being gassed up and told that America is the land of milk and honey, and you'll get everything for free if you go there. So they were kind of enticed to come to America
Yep.
more than forced. And a lot of those women and children fell into the hands of very bad people, and they're being trafficked. They are the victims of trafficking because they're not documented here in the US. Nobody knows they exist here. And well, their family is not really gonna wonder if they're missing or not, because they understand that their loved one went to a whole different country, and it might be a while before we hear from them. You know what I'm saying? And even if they do report their loved one missing, this is a poor third world country family. What are the odds of those missing person posters making it to the actual city where she went missing it?
Mm.
So these undocumented people are extremely vulnerable in that sense, as to where it's very easy to make them disappear, because you don't have to make them disappear on paper.
Yep.
In that sense.
Wow.
And funny enough, I had a map, right? I got to go look at my gallery to see if I still have it. But it's a map that shows the states, all the United States, all 50 states, and it shows the states with the highest concentrations of human trafficking.
Mm.
And every single state with the highest concentration of human trafficking is your typical hardcore blue no matter who state.
You know it. You know it.
The same states where you find the sanctuary cities, the large numbers of illegals living there, you
Yep.
know, the highest rate of sex offenders.
Yes. The most crime.
Yep. So it was very easy to disappear these people. In fact, there was an ICE raid that happened in Chicago a couple of days ago, and they actually were able to locate 7 missing children.
Oh yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah.
Good God. Good God Almighty, yo. They located 7 children, missing children.
In one raid.
Lord have mercy. Oh
Yeah,
my
because
God.
you remember under the Biden administration, they had quote unquote lost track of,
Yep.
I think it was like 300 something thousand kids.
Yep.
Yeah, Trump's
Yep.
finding them. Trump's done found over 250,000 of them so far, if not more.
Good God Almighty. Because I heard Biden had something to where he had a system to where you couldn't even track them.
Yeah,
Yep.
they'll get released with a court date, and that was it. And if they didn't show up to court, they just go to another state and they're fine. But a lot of human and child trafficking happened with them open borders, bro. That open borders was like one massive human, child, and drug trafficking operation that took place for 4 years straight, right
Yes,
in front of our faces, bro.
right in front of our faces, bro. You ain't lying.
And then now Trump is finally deciding, finally able or in a position to do something about it and undo the damage that these reckless, idiots did. And there's people out here that got the nerve to be mad at him over that. Like, do you want the border to stay? You want kids to keep getting trafficked? Is that what you want? So you hate Trump that bad that you would rather see these little Hispanic kids be kidnapped in South and Central America and brought across the border with quote unquote migrants. That's what you prefer?
Facts.
You prefer to
You
have
feel
the
me?
Somalis, right? You prefer to have the Somalis here stealing your tax money while you working like a dog to pay them dumbass taxes?
Right.
That's what you want?
To these bastards. Make that make sense.
But some people ain't got no sense, bro. That's why they support this shit, and that's why they fight against people like us.
Yep.
Because they ain't got no sense. They're just being ran by their emotions.
Yep. Ran by the emotions. Yep.
And that heightened emotional state is allowing them to fall victim to the media manipulation and the spells.
Hmm.
That's
You
why
know it.
the shit they do don't make no sense because they ain't got no damn sense.
No, not at all.
That's what it boils down to. They're fully controlled.
All the way. It's sad, yo.
And this is why the Constitution specifically mentions enemies, foreign and domestic. Because even back then they knew that a foreign enemy would not be able to gain any semblance of a foothold within your country without the cooperation of people domestically. So if you're going to address foreign enemies, you can't address foreign enemies without addressing the domestic enemies. Because without domestic enemies, the foreign enemies wouldn't even exist.
Yup. Absolutely. Yup. And it's
But
already bad enough. They messed up
yeah,
the damn housing market. The HUD secretary blames illegal migration for ruining the housing market.
yeah, yeah. He was. I remember seeing part of that press conference, and I don't know if it was like the commentary afterwards or if it was during the press conference, but I remember seeing some stats, and there was one statistic that showed. I think it was like almost a third of Section 8 housing was occupied by illegal aliens.
Good God Almighty.
So now when you wonder why, people be having to wait 2, 3 years on a waiting list to get housing, is because there's illegals clogging up the system.
Damn. Yup. See, look at that. Yup. Neighbors say Housing and Urban Development Secretary Scott Turner blamed illegal migration for causing issues for the housing market and low income Americans. They said the unchecked illegal immigration and open borders pop. What the fuck? Hold up a minute. This damn thing acting crazy. My fault. What the hell? My fault, citizen man. This damn thing just
I ain't
blinked
good.
out for me on this article. Damn, I hate when this happens. What the hell? You serious? All right, give me 1 second. My bad. This damn thing just. All right, here we go. My fault. Hate when that happens. My fault. Yeah, yep. They were saying that. Yep, right here. The unchecked illegal immigration and open borders policy allowed by the Biden administration continued to put significant strain on housing, pricing out American families. Yep, he said like President Biden had played the housing market. They said HUD recently released a report that stated increased immigration has caused housing prices and that individuals born in the United States making two-thirds of rental demand growth. Yep, they said he has ordered an audit to make sure those who live in subsidized housing have verifiable citizenship. They said no longer illegal aliens be able to leave citizenship boxes blank or take advantage of HUD funded housing, riding the coattails of hardworking Americans. You see that right there, yo?
Yep.
They done messed up the damn housing market.
Yep. And that was inevitable. I mean, if you flood your population with millions of people, that's a significant increase in a very
Yeah,
short period of time. So the limited resources that are allocated to only account for a certain number of people that would be in need, that number, tripled or quadrupled with the open borders.
you ain't lying. Yep, because when the open borders came through, man, I mean, yup, and see around that time frame, yup, and that was around that time frame for real when they had all of those open borders. They was giving them illegals, man. They was giving them all of them vouchers for housing. They was giving them everything, They was
Yep.
giving them money to get housing, to get cars, licenses, all that. So a lot of them illegals, like they said, they are on Section 8, yo. So now our dad going. My prices all high with like pretty much inflation and housing market. I mean, it's pretty much messed up because of illegal immigration. That's sad, yo. We being outpriced because of somebody that's not even from here. Crazy.
Right. Right. And you see, that all goes back to they learn the system. They come here not knowing nothing, but they take the time to learn the system because that's all they have to rely on because they come here with nothing. And in learning the system, they start to learn all the loopholes and all the benefits. And then a lot of times, there's other foreigners working in these government offices and in these agencies and instructing them on how to do it and
Hmm.
how to get over and how to take advantage. I've seen that with my own two eyes. You know what I'm saying? So
Wow.
so that's part of the reason why we have the situation that we have because if the people on one side of the counter, they have an agenda to take over America, flood the market, use up all the resources, whatever, whatever. But the people on the other side of the counter don't aid and abet them in that agenda, it doesn't happen. But if it's happening, now we got to look at both sides. You know what I'm saying? The people that approve these applications and push these applications through and give them priority over other Americans, like that's a bit treasonous in my opinion.
Very treasonous. That is very treasonous. I mean to just put somebody else that's not even from here, yo, and to prioritize them. I mean, that's just despicable, man. It just ticked me off to my damn core. It would tick me off, like you said, man, was that people were literally defending. I'm like, yo, you defending these people, man? Come on. You can't defend these people, man. Come on.
Yeah, and I talked about plenty of times about how Russia got rid of their deep state and why Vladimir Putin is so strong on the global scale, on the international scale now. And a big part of that reason is because half the Russian population does not hate Vladimir Putin the same way half the American population hates President Trump. You feel what I'm saying? And because of that, we now have Americans that are advocating against America's well being while honestly believing that they're doing the opposite. But in countries like Russia, everybody's on the same page. They're for their country. They see that their president is for their country, so they support their president because they see his agenda and they like his agenda because it's pro people and not pro New World Order, pro establishment. But here in America, people don't see that. You know what I'm saying? There's people that are literally brainwashed by the propaganda and they think all this toxic shit is good for society. Grown ass adults actually believing in trans kids and all that shit and thinking it's okay and not pedophilic. You see what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
So the mentality of the people is on a whole different it's a whole different wavelength and it's just simply not enough of us yet, but that number is growing that have awakened to the fact that all this shit we're being told to believe in are things that contribute to why the world is in the condition that it's in.
Crazy. Mm-mm-mm. Man, this is mind blowing, man. Wow. I'm just ain't it deep, man?
Yeah. And the worst part about that whole situation with Americans that still support the agenda because they're brainwashed into it. I'm
Hmm.
pretty sure a lot of us have people in our family that are like that. And you can't teach them nothing. You can't educate them on nothing. You can't put them up on no game when it comes to the politics because they're so brainwashed and so deeply entrenched into the belief system and the religion of the left that they believe that anything contrary to that is morally wrong.
Mm, 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 mm. Wow. See that is crazy. Wow. Wow. Oh yeah, you also heard about that birthright citizenship thing, right?
Yep, yep. I think that is a great thing that Donald Trump is doing.
Mm-hmm. Yep, they saying with the yep, they actually reviewing it right about now on the constitutionality of birthright citizenship. So they actually like the Supreme Court, they said they agreed to decide the constitutionality of Trump's plan to end it. Yep. So they looking at it right about now of seeing what they're going to do as far as like, birthright citizenship, and then, there's been quite a few other people that's been trying to make it seem like it's, you know, like it wasn't for, quote unquote black Americans. And that's been like a topic of conversation right then and there about, the 13th, 14th Amendment and stuff like that, like that birthright citizenship thing, like that really caused like a major serious like panic when it came down to that.
Yeah.
But I really do. My fault, go ahead.
Oh no, finish what you're saying.
Oh no, I was done.
Okay. My thoughts on the birthright citizenship. I think it's a great thing that Donald Trump is doing because when the 14th Amendment was written, it was written exclusively for black people who had just gotten out of slavery and as slaves were not afforded proper full constitutional protections as citizens of the United States of America. They were the property of citizens of the United States of America, being them as slaves, right? Being that they were slaves. Let me correct myself. So with the 14th Amendment, what the 14th Amendment did through birthright citizenship was corrected that and changed and remedied that situation where these now freed people who were no longer slaves, because there's no such thing as a free slave. Either you're a slave or you're free. You can't be a freed slave, right? So these now free people were afforded full constitutional protection, and their future generations, who presumably would be born in America, would also be afforded those constitutional protections. That was the birthright citizenship. Because these people that were considered property as slaves were not granted citizenship, thus granted protection under the Constitution, birthright citizenship then declared that they were citizens and they were granted constitutional protections. That's what birthright citizenship was about, and it was exclusively meant for the freed slaves. It was not meant for foreigners from other lands. It was not meant for people here on vacation. It wasn't meant for illegal aliens to have legal status or none of that. It was meant for Black Americans to actually be considered Americans under the Constitution rather than property.
Yep.
So what we have today with the application of birthright citizenship being afforded to foreigners who don't have permanent legal status in the United States, that is a misuse and misapplication of the 14th Amendment. In fact, it's actually a slap in the face to Black Americans, because now they've taken something that was written into the Constitution exclusively for them and given it to foreigners.
Yep. Because I was looking at that right there. It said no lower court that has been confronted with legal challenges to the birthright citizenship order has embraced the Trump administration's interpretation of the 14th Amendment's citizenship clause. Still, the Justice Department has argued that those decisions are wrong, claiming that the Constitution does not grant citizenship to children of temporary visitors or illegal aliens.
Right.
Yep, they
You
say
either
all
have to.
persons.
Mhm.
My fault, go ahead, sir.
No, I was going to say you either have to be a legal permanent resident or a naturalized citizen.
That's right. Yep. They said all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and of the state wherein they reside.
Did you see that clip when Trump said birthright citizenship was meant for black babies?
Yep. Oh yeah. Yep.
Let me see something. Go ahead, and cook, bro. I'm gonna see if I can find that clip while you cook it. While you cooking.
Oh yeah. Yep. He said that recently. You feel me? Yep. He said that recently. And when I peeped it, I was like, yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
they couldn't
Yep.
they couldn't call him a racist for saying that.
Hell no. Because anybody that's either in the country illegally or temporary basis are not recognized as United States citizens. That's right. Wow. Oh yeah, man. Oh yeah, they're not playing but this right here, but the birthright citizenship. Yup. And that has a lot of them shook.
All right, I found a clip. But it's gonna hold on, there's a commercial. Yeah, this I think I found the clip I was talking about. And he didn't say black babies, he said babies of slaves. Which, the implication is black babies.
Yeah.
But I want y'all to get a load of this. There we go.
Look, birthright citizenship was, if you look back when this was passed and made, that was meant for the children of slaves. This was not meant for the whole world to come in and pile into the United States of America, everybody coming in and totally unqualified people with perhaps unqualified children. This wasn't meant for that. This was meant, when it was originally done, for the children of slaves. And that was a very good and noble thing to do. And I'm in favor of that 100%. But it wasn't meant for the entire world to occupy the United States.
So you don't see it requiring a constitutional amendment that would be?
I just think that we'll end up winning that court in the Supreme Court. I think we're going to win that case. And I look forward to winning it. This has been going on. We're at that level. We're the only country in the world that does this. There's no other country at this level. There's no other country in the world that does it. It's crazy. Look,
There you go. There you go.
Yep. Yep.
He said it. He said it and he said it outright. The babies of
Yep.
slaves. And he's right.
Yep.
That's exactly what the 14th Amendment was for.
Mm-hmm.
But you see,
Yep.
it's statements like that the fake news would take and say, "Oh, he's bigoted, he's a racist, this and that." Like, no, he's right. How about that?
Right.
Let's start there. He's freaking right.
Yep.
And I'm glad that the Supreme Court chose to hear it, because hopefully they'll rule in favor. Now,
Yep.
the 14th Amendment, when it comes to birthright citizenship, I believe it says it's afforded to citizens and people subject to the citizens of the United States of America and anyone subject to the jurisdiction thereof. But if you're a foreign national, you're subject to a foreign jurisdiction. Wouldn't that be correct?
Mm-hmm. Are you there, citizen man?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Hold on, I was just looking something up. trying to find the actual 14th Amendment. But go ahead, bro. You got the mic, man. Yo.
Oh, y'all here, citizen, man. I was looking up something.
Oh,
The 14th Amendment, ratified in 1868, granted citizenship and equal rights to formerly enslaved people and all U.S. born or naturalized citizens. It also extended the Bill of Rights of the states and established several protections, including citizenship, equal protection, due process, voting rights, representation, insurrection, and debt. Yeah, that's the 14th Amendment.
yeah. On mine it says including formerly enslaved people and guaranteeing all citizens equal protection. So it says granting citizenship to all persons born or naturalized in the U.S.
That's right.
But that is not the actual 14th Amendment. See, what I was trying to look for was the actual 14th Amendment as written. So we could kind of make that determination for ourselves. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Let me see. 14th Amendment text. See how long this is. Okay, it ain't that long. All right, can y'all see it?
Yep.
Excuse me. 14th Amendment, Section 1. All persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof. So it's a two-part thing, right? All persons born or naturalized in the U.S. That means if you were born in the United States or you became a naturalized citizen, like you moved here legally and became a citizen through the process, and subject to the jurisdiction thereof, meaning you're under U.S. jurisdiction, not foreign jurisdiction, are citizens of the United States and of the state wherein they reside. No state shall make or enforce any law which shall abridge the privileges or immunities of citizens of the United States, nor shall any state deprive any person of life, liberty, property without due process of law, nor deny to any person within its jurisdiction the equal protection of the laws. Section 2, representatives shall be apportioned among the several states according to their respective numbers. Okay, so that's about the representation in Congress and so on. So so it starts off with birthright citizenship, right? And then it goes on to talk about the structure of Congress. And I think I just found an elephant in the room that everybody's been ignoring. I think the 14th Amendment contains the birthright citizenship clause and even mentions citizenship because it was the intention for citizens to be the representatives of, I don't know, the American citizens and not these freaking dual citizenship foreigners. What do you think about that?
Interesting.
And here where it says subject to the jurisdiction thereof, that means the jurisdiction of the United States. In the original Constitution, it actually says the United States of America. This is the corporate rewrite of the Constitution version, kind of like the King James and the new international versions of the Bible. They did the same thing with the U.S. Constitution. Subject to the jurisdiction thereof, this is the key phrase here that would apply exclusively to the slaves and the children of the now freed people who were once enslaved, because as a slave, you're property of your master, which means you're subject to the jurisdiction of the slave master. But once you're freed from the slave master and you're now granted citizenship within the country as a free individual, you are no longer subject to the jurisdiction of your slave master, but you're now subject to the jurisdiction of the United States of America, just like your slave master would be subject to the jurisdiction of the United States of America. So the subject to the jurisdiction thereof, I think, is the key phrase that makes it exclusively for the slaves. And you got to remember, at the time these documents were written, these men were functioning at a much, much higher level of consciousness than most of us could ever even imagine. So when they wrote these things, the implied meanings were there, but today we're not really taught to read that deep into shit, so we miss the implied meanings. And this is why there's been biblical scholars for decades trying to quote unquote decode the Bible. It's the same damn words. You can't figure out what the words mean yet. I've been a Bible decoder for 50 years. That means you're stupid. Because it shouldn't take 50 years to decode the Bible. I'm sorry. Maybe I'm rushing things. I don't know. But I think everybody's missing this, and this is what the Supreme Court, this is what the judges won't miss this, because this is law, and they're trained to look at every word and every meaning in order to get what's being said. And Trump's going to win that. But anyway, B Miles.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, man. Anything you want to add?
Oh man, I really got to say, like, just looking at the 14th Amendment of the birthright citizenship, man, this is definitely deep, man. Some really good insight. How we just went into the 14th Amendment, man. This has been really, really deep, man. Something we got to look more deep into.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm gonna start following that Supreme Court case and see, I'm gonna see where they go with that, because it does not apply to foreigners. It should not apply to foreigners, period. And it's not that way in any other country.
Yeah.
In most other countries, that child's citizenship is determined by the citizenship of the parents. And if both parents have different citizenships, like in the Caribbean, they'll go with either the father's lineage or the mother's lineage, depending on what island you're on.
Yep. Because they already knocking out. They already looking to dismantle dual citizenship as well.
Yep. And they need to get them dual citizens up out of Congress. That's what the problem is. The foreigners, you see, the foreigners are being given a better deck of cards than born American citizens, because it's foreigners running the government. It's foreigners up in Congress. 85% of Congress, I believe they said, have dual citizenship. That's the whole damn Congress. Who's there? Who's representing Americans at this point?
That's the point that I'm making. Yep. Good one. Yep.
And I always thought it was weird how when it's time to give money to foreign countries, they do it within the week. When it's time to give money to the American people, they debate that shit for months.
And then it makes sense because we got foreigners running Congress.
Right. They not us.
Nope. They doing shit for their own country. They ain't doing shit for us.
And I believe the 14th Amendment is being brought before the Supreme Court because that's also going to set the precedence for these members of Congress to be removed.
That makes sense.
Because why Section 1 mentioned the standard for citizenship, and then Section 2 goes on to talk about representation in Congress.
Right.
And Section 3, representation in the Senate.
And it's crazy, the person who put up this bill, he's not even from here. Named Bernie Moreno. I think he's from Colombia.
Yeah, that's the foreign infiltration.
Right. He was born in Colombia and pronounced his Colombian citizenship at 18 upon naturalization.
Yep.
But he's one of the ones putting together this bill about in the dual citizenship.
Yeah, you see how they work is with the deep state, the ones that have legal status use their legal status to get into positions of power, and they use their positions of power to make way for the ones who can't get legal status. Because it's their people at the end of the day, so they help their own. And then, of course, there's the other side of the Latino community who ain't down with the corruption and ain't down with none of that shit and try to get away from those people and would like to see them all deported and arrested just like we would. But that's how they play, bro. That's how they play. They get their own people. Look at why all the Somalians that moved to Minnesota didn't elect an American to represent them in Congress. But they represented Ilhan Omar because they want their own in there.
Yep.
Because their own is going to push their own agenda. And there's way too many foreigners in Congress, and I've been saying that shit for the longest, bro. I've been saying it for the longest. Congress has been infiltrated, and there's way too many of them.
Way too many of them. You ain't lying. You ain't lying. There's way too many of them. And I'm just looking at it like, man, we have fully been infiltrated. And it's sad that people don't even see it.
Yeah. You know what Saddam Hussein did in his country when he found out his Congress was infiltrated like that? He had a big meeting in a big, beautiful ballroom. Wink, wink. And cameras were rolling, and he called out every one of the traitors by name, had them step outside into the hallway. They got shot in the head.
Damn. Huh. Read between the lines.
Mm-hmm.
Boy, that makes sense. I see where you're going at, and I see where that's going.
Yeah. And then you look at how they're freaking out over that ballroom. It kind of makes you wonder, like, what are they so afraid of? It's just a ballroom.
Mm-hmm. Time to get rid of these infiltrators.
Yep. And I think it's going to happen. It's either gonna happen right before the midterm elections or right after, because it might require more patriots to take up seats in Congress so the numbers can be there in order to have expulsion votes to expel certain members from Congress so they could lose their immunity and then get arrested. So if it happens after the midterms, that will be the reason for it. If it happens before the midterms, it's basically political campaigning.
Wow. Mm-mm-mm.
But watch the timing of the construction of that ballroom and when it's ready to open in the premier event that's going to happen at the ballroom. I think that ballroom has got a lot to do with this.
That sounds like Nasara.
Yeah.
Oh, yo, that man, this
Like
is about.
I can see it, bro. Like Trump having his big, beautiful dinner at the ballroom, and all the Congress and the Senate and everybody and the local politicians show up in their nice, fancy suits and their Rolexes, looking nice, smelling like money, and then they get arrested in the middle of their dinner.
It will not surprise me, bro.
All on camera.
Oh boy, it's about to get interesting.
Yeah, that'll be something. And this is why Trump says the best is yet to come. Because what he means when he says the best is yet to come is we're not moving forward. We're actually going to move backwards, back into the old world. That's what he means when he says there will be a new American golden age.
Yep.
Because he's going to bring back that actual golden age that, North Americans had experienced long before America had been established.
Yep. Oh Oh boy, it's about to be biblical. It's about to be something.
Yeah, I believe it, man. I believe it. If we start
Oh,
seeing congressional expulsions happening, just know charges are coming next.
oh yes, that's definitely coming. And all what you got to do now is just watch the dominoes fall. It's about to be the domino effect is about to speed up.
Yeah. And members of Congress can actually be indicted and still remain in Congress because they're innocent until proven guilty. So a lot of these members of Congress could actually be under indictment right now as we speak, and we don't know because nobody's reporting on it.
You never know.
And if they're under indictment, but they're still able to serve in Congress, that means that a warrant could be issued for their arrest at any moment.
Mm, 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 mm. Man, it's about to get interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. And in order to basically arrest a member of Congress and charge them with a crime, they have to be expelled from Congress. Now, they don't have to be expelled to get indicted, but let's say they get indicted and they go to trial. The moment they're found guilty and they're convicted, they're automatically expelled from Congress. But if they get indicted, and I think it's like 60% of the House, if it's a representative, votes to expel them from the House, they get expelled from the House. But if they get arrested and charged with a crime until they're convicted, or the House of Congress decides to vote them out through expulsion vote, they actually can remain in Congress.
It's about to be interesting. I'm gonna keep my eyes on that ballroom, man. I'm gonna keep real close out on that ballroom because I can tell it's gonna be.
Oh yeah, bro. All right, so I guess that'll do it, man. We'll close it out. I think we covered just about everything we needed to cover. Don't forget, guys, to support the program, support the broadcast. This is independent media. Without your support, none of this would be possible. You know what I'm saying? B Miles, I really appreciate you having me on, brother. I'm glad that we're doing these collabs. I'm pretty sure as time goes by, there'll be more that we could discuss and more interesting, more heavy duty shit that's going to be happening and more new events to dissect. I really want to get into those mass shootings and start on whether we think they were real or fake, and then get into the details and shit. So I'm going to do some digging into those. But yeah, bro. Anything you want to say?
Oh man, I definitely want to say, Citizen, man, there's definitely been another good stream, man. Definitely another great collaboration and stuff like that. And like I said, though, man, definitely looking forward to like doing, you know what I mean, I'm definitely looking forward to doing more collaborations and, definitely going on topics like that, though, man. So it's definitely been another good live stream. I appreciate everybody, for coming out, taking their time with us on this Sunday. And like I said, I appreciate you, brother, for taking your time bringing this info.
Yeah, man, for sure. And I really appreciate you guys, man. And like I said, it's important. I know B Miles, he's not like me, so he's not gonna tell y'all hit the Cash App and support the show. But I'm gonna tell y'all that because I see these platforms that are ran by agents and they get all the support and all the backing and all the funding they need. And our platforms are here to counter those lies and that propaganda that they're trying to put out. And it's very, very difficult to do it and not have financial support. You know what I'm saying? Because now you got to spend more hours working. You got to spend more hours, budgeting and worrying about your bills and all that, when you should be able to spend that time doing the research and expanding your mind rather than trying to survive. You know what I'm saying? And I would really love to see more independent journalists actually, and our audiences as a whole Actually show the establishment that we have the capacity to compete. Don Lemon, when he was with CNN, this man was making $5 million a year just to sit up there and lie. You know what I'm saying? So there's no reason why a truth teller with an audience of, 100 to 200 people a show shouldn't walk away with at least $100 in donations per show. And that's just being real. Because when I had my bigger channels and people were donating in mass, like I saw the potential in the ability to grow. Like I was actually able to get in my truck and drive all the way down to DC for January 6th, pay for accommodations and everything. And I was able to be there on the Capitol steps on January 6th. And I have some priceless footage from that very day. And that was all because of the support of my audience when I had a much bigger channel. So with that kind of support, the possibilities are endless. You know what I'm saying? So when we ask y'all to support the show and hit the Cash App and shit, it's more than just e-begging. It's us. We're fighting a war, and we're asking you to vote with your dollars and get involved in that war and say, you know what? I believe that this content has value. So I'm going to put something on it as a show of my appreciation for that value. You know what I mean? That's all it's about, y'all. So I do appreciate the love. I do appreciate the support. B Miles, once again, man, I appreciate you having me on, brother, and look forward to the next one.
All right, no doubt, man. Appreciate it. Peace.
Peace.